Well, I actually had no idea that a lot of you guys never realized that Cyclops' powers and Juggernaut's powers are very similar in many different aspects, but also very different. Most of you guys know that Juggernaut's powers come from the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak. Cyttorak is a mystical god being from a different dimension that uses Juggernaut as kind of an avatar to siphon his own power. That magical power manifests as infinite momentum that Juggernaut is able to weaponize. Now, essentially using magic through the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak, Juggernaut siphons kinetic momentum through the Crimson Cosmos dimension that Cyttorak is actually connected to. Now, it's not just magical momentum because he's pulling it from a magical being, which is Cyttorak. What really makes it magic is because he's actually using the laws of physics from a different dimension in our world. The unstoppable Juggernaut's momentum actually breaks all of our laws of physics, therefore it's magic because he's pulling it from a different dimension. Now, really a better way to understand it would be if you played a video game, but you actually followed the laws and rules of a different video game inside that new game. The actual laws of motion on Juggernaut are tied to a different dimension, not our own world. Cyclops' powers are very similar in many aspects. Most of you guys know that Cyclops' eyes are actually portals to a different dimension that siphon that energy from that dimension into our world by accessing it through his eyes. Now, where Cyclops' eyes actually lead to is an entire universe of pure concussive force. Like, it's not heat, it's not magic, it's an entire universe of just pure raw concussive force that's actually flowing through it. And once Cyclops opens his eyes, that universe now has a small channel to push all that concussive energy force through his eyes into our world. Now, the best way to describe that would be having like a water balloon and poking a small hole in it and then pushing the water out of that small hole. But just imagine that the water balloon is the size of the entire universe. Cyclops and Juggernaut's powers both work by pulling energy from a different dimension into our world. That's what makes them so similar. We have unstoppable momentum that's being pulled from a different dimension by Juggernaut. And pretty much infinite concussive force is being pulled from another dimension by Cyclops. What actually happens when you have raw concussive force, meaning unstoppable momentum? We've actually already seen what happens when you have unstoppable momentum, meaning raw concussive force right here in X-Men Evolution. You see Juggernaut's using his infinite momentum against Cyclops' purely siphoned raw concussive force. Now, as you can see in that video, you can see that Juggernaut was actually able to overpower and actually get the upper hand on Cyclops. There's a very specific reason why that is. Remember, Juggernaut's actually siphoning infinite kinetic momentum from Cyttorak from the Crimson Cosmos, whereas Cyclops is just opening his eyes as portals that's actually pushing raw concussive force from that entire universe through his eyes. At the end of the day, Juggernaut does not follow any of the laws of nature that we have in our universe. His body follows different rules that are actually being pulled from a different dimension. He is not bound to our laws of physics. Cyclops is still bound to our laws of physics, he's just actually accessing energy from a different dimension through our own world. So for that reason, Cyclops is just opening a door to a different dimension that's actually pushing that energy out into our world. But again, Juggernaut's actually playing by an entirely different set of rules. Our laws of motion do not apply to him. He's actually following the rules of a different dimension being put onto our own world. And that's why Juggernaut beats Cyclops in that encounter. Now, I hope that better explains how Cyclops' powers are very similar in different aspects, but also work on different rules. I make these videos breaking down how many different characters' powers and abilities actually work on a fundamental level. If you like that kind of content, follow for more videos.